So we can start. This thing about fate and that moment of choice, it's very interesting. There is a book by Dr. Andrew Weil. There are many such instances which I have at one point I had read. But this was particularly interesting that there was a lady with 4th stage ovarian cancer, and she, because she was on the verge of death, she was also carrying incidentally. And, the question was, whether to save the baby or not save the baby. All these dilemmas were going on. And at that point of time, there was a experiment going on in America on LSD. So people who were chosen were basically those with terminal illness, because they won't survive. So, and it was with their knowledge. So they knew that this experiment can be done, and they willingly enrolled themselves. So during this spell of LSD, at one point, she was narrating all her life, and then the therapist or the person conducting the experiment asked her that you are carrying a baby in the womb. So, would you like to live or die? It was a very strange question because she was inevitably going to die. And she said, I want to live. And as the story goes, it's an actual case report by this doctor, that when she came out, strangely and suddenly she developed this urge to live and wanted to reorient her lifestyle. She changed her husband, she changed her job, she started reading yoga, attitudes, lifestyle, everything, books on yoga, practicing. So she changed many things in her life. And she escaped the inevitable death. So very often death is a need for change. And if there can be a very conscious change, there is a moment which is given to us. Obviously, for one such story, there would be 100 where one made a choice but it didn't work out. Because it's not common to get this soul moment. And Mother speaks of these soul moments, that everyone is given a moment of choice. And then of course, all of us human disciples so ask, Mother, what if one misses it? Some of the questions people have asked Mother are very, very practical questions. What if one misses it? Mother said, the choice will come back again, but usually under more difficult circumstances. At some point it's very easy. It's like served on a platter. Then you have to almost struggle for it. So it comes back, because that's how time, and every time it comes back, it's like you have to be more ready for it. So there is a moment of choice and it will come back. It's a soul moment. And during those moments, our destiny is sealed. The rest will follow. They are not common. In a whole lifetime, maybe there are hardly few minutes of soul moments. One can count them on minutes, what is called as psychic moments in life. But until then, we are simply like Yantra Rodini Maya. We are like a fly on the wheel, a giant wheel which is turning, and the fly is sitting on the wheel, believing I am turning this wheel. Whereas actually it is the wheel which is turning the fly. So this also happens. Many of us believe, I have done this, I have done that. But actually, there is a power much greater than us which does it. And we are given this illusion, and based on our beliefs and non-beliefs, or perhaps regardless of that, it moves its own way. It is a very, this movement of fate, how much it can be so powerful. And that's what is revealed to us in Savitri. And having summarized what fate is about, now Aurobindo leads us to the story once again. And this is a very interesting canto, full of human images, full of lovely images. It's an amazing canto in many ways. Of course, each canto is in its own way carries its own beauty and charm. So here comes back to Savitri. All was fulfilled, the heart of Savitri, flower sweet and adamant, passionate and calm, had chosen, and on her strength's unbending road, forced to its issue the long cosmic curve. Look at these four marvelous lines. All was fulfilled the heart of Savitri. Whatever the heart of Savitri had chosen. But in between, Sri Aurobindo gives a comma and a brief interlude describing her heart. Now, look at this description. What is her heart like? Flower sweet and adamant. Where can we find this combination? People who are very sweet are soft-natured. They're not adamant. They give in very easily. Savitri is flower sweet, but adamant. She doesn't give up. But there is a gentleness even when she remains firm with her decree. There is no harshness. There is no crudeness. There is no that kind of a titanic force. There is a titanic adamant. And there is a godlike adamantine where she persists. No, this must be done. But there is sweetness in that. There is the power of love. And there is the firmness. Mother spoke of this when dealing with children, that you need to be firm at times, but you need not be harsh. Firmness and harshness. So he is flower sweet, not just sweet. Sri Aurobindo is qualifying it. Flower sweet and adamant. Now again, passionate and calm. Where is this combination? Passionate and calm. You see again in Ramayana, the characters of Rama and Sita. The poet has as if foreseen a future and build their character like that. Passionate and calm. But passion so much subdued and so much mastered. Sita loves Rama at first sight. He is her man of destiny, her choice. What love it must be, love at first sight. But still she is in perfect control. She doesn't rush and starts writing a letter that, oh, please somehow come and take me from, Janakpuri. She doesn't do that. Later on we see in the later avatars. But Sita and Rama have come to represent something else. Both have fallen in love at first sight. Both actually. It's not just Sita. But they press upon this choice till destiny takes this course. So much so, and that's the symbol of bending of the bow of Shiva. Bow of Shiva is inexorable destiny. Shiva himself, the eternal, has fixed it. But look at Rama, destined to woo Sita. He loves Sita. He must marry her. And whatever destiny can stand in the way, he will bend it. Where does that power come from? That is the spirit's choice. That is the symbol of bending and breaking of the bow of Shiva. It's an inexorable destiny fixed that none can marry Sita. That's her destiny, because who can marry? She's the... But Rama must prove that he can marry. And he can change that destiny. So this is the greater spirits. So with Savitri, all was fulfilled. The heart of Savitri, flower sweet and adamant, passionate and calm, had chosen, and on her strength's unbending road, forced to its issue the long cosmic curve. So what she is born with an issue, and the long cosmic curve, the evolutionary journey, the path that must be undertaken, they now will create situations, circumstances to keep her to the appointed road. And then now Sri Aurobindo brings us to the scene. It's a very interesting scene. We have heard scenes of Vidai. In Indian marriages, we have a lot of thing about Vidai. When the girl goes, the parents, there is a lot of broha and, drama. But there is even a truth behind it. And if you look at it very sensitively, we will see, the crying is so much that any sensitive bridegroom will think that he is a big kidnapper. He is not really marrying. He is kidnapping the girl. It's better that, she stays here. Rather than, take her all the way as if he's done a big crime. But if you look at it from the perspective of the parents, now she has to go to her husband's home and rebuild her life and rebuild her husband's life. It's a big challenge. Only the feminine can take this challenge. That's why there is no Vidai for men. Simply because they are not strong enough and capable enough to adjust. If there was a Vidai for men, they would mess it up. But women can do it. They will go there, start by accepting the household, and then they will rule the household and change it. This power. So, Once more she sat behind loud, hastening hoofs. At one point, she sat behind these hoofs when she had gone to find her place of destiny, find Satyavan, find her ideal mate. Once more, she is sitting now on. Now he gives us the scene visually. She is sitting on a chariot with loud, hastening hoofs. A speed of armored squadrons and a voice far heard of chariots bore her from her home. And she is accompanied. After all, she is a king's daughter. So at least up to the forest or up to some place, she'll be accompanied by squadrons of armored strengths. Great warriors are going with her to at least do the vidai. Even the king and the queen are going. They'll come later after 2 pages. So as she is going, now Aurobindo describes this scene. A couchant earth vacant in its dumb muse. Now everything comes alive. This is the beauty of Aurobindo. If somebody else, a lesser mortal, were to describe this, if a great poet, as he passed, there was brown earth and this. Now look at it. He is endowing everything with an aliveness. A couchant earth vacant in its dumb muse. It is musing in its dumbness. Suddenly it wakes up. Who is going? Who is going? Who is passing over me? Of course, the Divine Mother. Looked up at her from a vast indolence, hills wallowing in a bright haze, large lands that lolled at ease beneath the summer heavens. They were all resting peacefully. And suddenly they see this chariot and the beautiful Madran Savitri on it and a whole armored strength. So they are all awake. They were all lolling. Look at this image. Hills were lolling. What a word. Aurobindo uses a word which is a very casual word. And he fits it to create a marvelous poetry. He has used these marvelous, these words. Loitering. Aurobindo uses this word for divine. In nature's instruments, loiters, secret God. God is loitering. Here, hills are lolling. And now we see a play of colors. So Shyam Benegal is not original. Look at these colors. Look at these colors. Hills that lolled at ease beneath the summer heavens. So what summer? Identified with sun and the splendor of the sun. Region on region spaces in the sun. Cities like chrysolites in the wide blaze. Now you see he has painted in one stroke the color of the cities. Chrysolites literally yellowish gold. It's the color of topaz. It's a gemstone. So even cities which rose up, they were like in golden hue. And yellow rivers pacing lion mane. Now, this is a description of everything which is golden yellow. The rivers which are pacing yellow with all the earth that has gone into it. The cities are, because of the sun and whatever, like chrysolites, like gems, yellow golden gems. The summer and the sun, everything is golden yellow as Savitri moves. Led to the Salva marches emerald line. Now comes the green because they are trees. Shalva kingdom. So we know these were the 2 kingdoms. Savitri came from the Madran. So Madra Desh, Madra kingdom is basically what is now in Pakistan. But of course they say that our history began only after 1947. And we Indians are also saying our history began after 1947. But if we go to history really, Madra kingdom is basically what today is large part of western Punjab. Punjab in Pakistan. The Punjab part of Pakistan was Madra Desh. And its capital was Sialkot. Now Sialkot. But at that point of time, something else, Segalkot or something like that. So that is the place from where Savitri is coming. She is, I may put it, she is a Punjabi. So you can imagine, with all that blood. Literally, but those days it was a different, much mixture has taken place. That's the original Kshatriya type. Whatever she has chosen, she chose. Now it's all mixed up blood. So nobody is a real type. But that is the time in Pakistan. Imagine the scenario. And she is going towards a Himalayan kingdom where everybody is nice. Somewhere towards the western part of India. But as Aurobindo speaks of, as we see the description of the kingdom, the Shalva country looks like somewhere in modern Himachal. So from there she is going and is on those Shalvas, emerald line, full of trees. A happy front to iron vastnesses. Now he describes what a beautiful way iron vastnesses. Normally vastness is something very soft. It gives the image of something soft. But what is an iron vastness? Of course the mountains that stand there, they are vast, but they are strong and solid. So he gives the sense of iron vastnesses and austere peaks and titan solitudes. Now everything is lifted to a powerful height. So it's a power-packed solitude where she is going. So there is a big contrast in her life and the present life. She comes from a plains. She comes from a palace. She is surrounded by people. And she is going to a forest amidst the mountains or the hills. She is going to a place where there is hardly any human being to converse. And of course she is going from the richness and splendor of a palace to a poor hermitage. Once more was near the fair and fated place, the borders gleaming with the grove's delight, where first she met the face of Satyavan. She remembers it. She has experienced the joy of first love. And as she nears, once more she experiences that joy. And he saw like one waking into a dream, some timeless beauty and reality, the moon gold sweetness of heaven's earthborn child. So Satyavan sees once again how this heaven-born child has come with moon gold sweetness. And what happens when Savitri comes? This capacity to give oneself fully and freely and completely, truly only a woman can do it. And see, the past receded and the future neared. She is not like those, oh my God, I had such a nice palace. Did I make a wrong choice? Shall I listen to my mom? Perhaps that was a better thing. No. Recedes the past. And we see it in the Divine Mother's life. There are many beautiful things and remarkable things even about the human side of Divine Mother. We are not talking about the divine side. But just this one thing, that she came to India and she didn't want to go from here. That day India, what kind of amenities? There are Indians who can't live in India now. But those days, with those amenities, she didn't want to go. And she was waiting for Aurobindo to say just once that stay. And she said, I would have stayed. But look at the surrender. Aurobindo with his Himalayan silence did not even once give a hint that stay. And there was a deeper reason for it, which maybe some other time. So she goes. But what she does something which is not known to have been done by any yogi in this way. For a month, the last record we have is of Shankaracharya who took out his soul and put in another king. But during that time, he had said, don't disturb the body, otherwise I may die. So she had taken out his soul, got into a king and experienced the worldly life. Because he was asked by Mandan Mishra's wife, you seem to have all the knowledge, but Brahman knowledge must contain everything. Do you know the knowledge of conjugal love? So he was caught unawares. He said, no, I don't, but I can try. So he went out of his body, a king who was dying. So this is the story recorded. But the Divine Mother left her soul with Aurobindo for good 4.5, nearly 5 years. Throughout her stay in Japan, she recounts this. I left my soul with Aurobindo. And then she says, no, my child, nobody should do it. I nearly died. We see that in mother's records. The moment she leaves Pondicherry, we see her record in the diary, solitude, a harsh solitude, plunge into the night after such a wonderful light. But she accepted it. It is the divine will She has to go, she has to go. She showed us the way, but not without leaving her soul. And eventually destiny brings her back. So here is Savitri keeping the past behind. Far now behind lay Madra's spacious halls. So we see when mother came finally in 1920, she never moved out. It's amazing for someone to have lived in France with all the climate change. Forget about other things. Just the climate of France and India with its heat, Pondicherry. No AC those days. Nowadays with AC you can feel you are in Switzerland. You have to switch on the internet and well, you can enjoy Switzerland. Virtual realities will also become reality very soon. But she doesn't feel even once that at least let me go to Himalayas. Why is she staying? What a love is this? And when she is asked, tell us about your life, what does she say? She says the reminiscences will be short. I came to India to meet Aurobindo. I lived in India to be with Aurobindo. And I continue to live here after his departure so that I may serve him. It's amazing by enlightening mankind and that divine love. So it's amazing that her whole life she summarizes in 3 short sentences. Somebody else would say, well, I came here, this, that, and it was very difficult in Pondicherry, but I stayed on. Those days there was not even a fan, nothing. I came to India to meet Aurobindo. I came to India. I remained in India to live with Aurobindo. So here Savitri is showing us the way, and of course the Divine Mother. Far now behind lay Madra's spacious halls, the white carved pillars, the cool dim alcoves. Alcoves are those recesses, lovely in gardens, with little niches that are created. We have one in Par Guest House, something resembling an alcove if at all, where suddenly you see in the garden a little bit space, where nice little, and you can like a hideout, you can go there and sit. And they were made in those king's palaces. So she had all that luxury. Savitri. The tinged mosaic of the crystal floors, everything is coming alive. That's why the poet creates. Whether Madra was so beautiful or not, that's not relevant. We can now feel that scenes of Madra. The towered pavilions, the wind rippled pools, look at it. Not just pools, the wind rippled pools. There was some kind of a mechanism that wind was flowing through and the pools were rippling. It's possible that all that is possible, with some kind of science. And gardens humming with the murmur of bees. Obviously, then it was full of flowers. So it was humming with the murmur of bees. This is what a way to say gardens full of flowers. Murmuring, there was music in it. Forgotten soon or a pale memory. Now look at Aurobindo, he is showing us through this image the nobility and the wonder of Savitri. Why is he describing all this? He is saying all this was forgotten soon. What was forgotten soon was not just some house. What a contrast to today looking for NRIs for marriages. Look at that, Savitri's human character, all that she forgot. And not only that, she forgets something else. So he's using this word to link it up. Forgotten soon or a pale memory, the fountains splash in the white stone-bound pool. Look at this. The fountain also, stone-bound pool. The thoughtful noontides, brooding solemn trance, all the beauty of nature and the marvel of the palace. The colonnades, dream grey in the quiet eve. The trees, the row of trees which were there planted. And she would probably take a walk around that like the mother in Fontainebleau. So she remembers all that. Now she is keeping that in the behind. The slow moon rise gliding in front of night. And why does he mention the slow moon rise? Very interesting. Aurobindo is a perfectionist of perfectionist. Every image is just apt. Moonrise is always slow. Yes, except in the mountains. Savitri has gone to the hills. So in the hills, you suddenly see the moon. There will be darkness. And suddenly you will see the moon full blue. And it's such a disorienting thing. I know it by first-hand experience in Thais and Leh Ladakh. Suddenly, amidst the hills, and you wonder, then you wonder what time is it? And it's disorienting. But on the plains, we always see a slow moonrise. But in the mountains, she has gone, where you don't have the luxury of watching a slow moon rise. It's sudden. Even the sun comes like that. So there is the slow moon rise. In the valleys, of course. The slow moon rise gliding in front of night, left far behind where now the face is known. So not only she has left the palace, the luxury and nature, but those whom she loved. It's not just an ordinary leaving behind. This is really the power of renunciation, which only love can give. There is no other power which can give this kind of a renunciation, which is full of sweetness and warmth and charm, not an austere renunciation. The happy silken babble on laughter's lips, the children who must have been around, and the close clinging clasp of intimate hands. Again, look at the play of sounds, close clinging clasp of intimate hands. All the friends who must have played with Savitri, she was the princess, and they must have done many things. And adoration's light in cherished eyes, who must have adored her, offered to the one sovereign of their life. That's how she was. Nature's primeval loneliness was here. What a stark contrast. All these people with whom she would play, have fun, they looked upon her, loved her, cherished her, adored her. Where has she gone? Nature's primeval loneliness. Look how Aurobindo is bringing the renunciation in yoga. It's easy to renounce when we have really nothing to renounce. And somebody came to Vivekananda at a young age and said, I want to renounce the world. And he said, what do you have that you will renounce? So he was at loss. So he said, go to the world, earn 1 lakh rupees, then come back and renounce. Till date he hasn't come back. That's the whole story. Look at the mother and Aurobindo. Aurobindo, what did he renounce? He had yoga vibhuti. Like Siddhartha, he had achieved nirvana. Like the greatest of great seers, he had discovered Vasudevam Sarvamiti. All that he needed was to have a mic. Rest would have been done. He renounces that. He also had Raj Vibhuti. Brilliant scholar. He would have easily got a, what job? Baroda's job, and then of course Presidency College. He renounced all the fame and name, the height of publicity. You see that picture where Aurobindo is garlanded with flowers before coming here? He renounced all those flowers and all that is associated with it. So all that he renounced, that is renunciation. Not that anybody leaves the one pair of dress and exchange it for saffron and that is renunciation. So this is not renunciation. This is renunciation. So Savitri has renounced. She is not an ordinary woman. Aurobindo is showing us her character, who she is, even here. While he is describing nature, he is actually describing Savitri through these one-liners. What has she left behind? Here only was the voice of bird and beast. No music system. No harps. No minstrels to come and play. But look, come and let me have some sitar. No one. Here only was the voice of bird and beast. The ascetic's exile in the dim-souled, huge, inhuman forest far from cheerful sound of man's blithe converse and his crowded days. Blithe converse. Again, it's a very, a word, casual cheerfulness, if one has to really. Blithe. There is certain degree of casualness in this word. And there is a gaiety, cheerfulness. Man's blithe converse. Like, people walk on the street talking casually and cheerfully. They're having a gala time. That's blithe. What she had in Madran, the blithe converse. People would walk fair and town halls, and it was a people place. That she was accustomed to that. And suddenly she comes to a inhuman forest. Stark contrast. All that she can hear is bird and beast. No TV, no internet, none of those things. So she is literally in kind of exile. This is also important because see, it's one thing to make a choice when you don't know its practical consequences. Like Arjuna made a choice of the war, but when he actually saw, it can be shattering. So it's okay, Savitri has made a choice at some point and said, I love him, I'll marry him, and then she comes back. Now the poet is recreating the scene to once again bring it to focus. What it means, what this choice means for Savitri, to show us once again the strength of her character. In a broad eve with one red eye of cloud. What kind of sky is this here? Not that gliding moon and that sunrise and that kind of summer and lolling hills. One red eye of cloud. Through a narrow opening, a green flowered cleft. Out of the stair of sky and soil they came into a mighty home of emerald dusk. Now they have entered into that space where Satyavan lives with his parents. There onward led by a faint brooding path. Even path has to be described as if it's music. Faint, brooding path. It's disappearing. And yet it's pointing towards something. Brooding is when thought focuses on something. Brooding, a state of brooding. So look at how the Lord sees a path. He doesn't see just a narrow path. He looks at a path that is brooding. It's pointing towards something. Which toiled through the shadow of enormous trunks. So it's a whole like yoga. Toiling through the forest of nature, thought must be one-pointed, faintly leading to our goal, which you can't see. Now here he is using this image on physical nature. The house of Satyavan, where she sees a faint brooding path, toiling. It's something very alive and conscious. Toiling through trunk of trees. And under arches, misers of sunshine. As if this is not enough. It's full of those thick foliage trees and hardly any sun trickles through these. They saw low thatched roofs of a hermitage, huddled beneath a patch of azure hue, in a sunlit clearing that seemed the outbreak of a glad smile in the forest's monstrous heart. The only place where there was some semblance of joy. Oh, there is, like you're going through a forest and you see a hut. You feel, my kind. Smile in that forest. So that is the experience of those who are coming with Savitri. A rude refuge of the thought and will of man, vast by the crowding giants of the woods. So what a place she has come. As if this is not enough. Aurobindo is a perfectionist to the core. He is taking it one step further. Arrived in that rough-hewn homestead they gave. It's not a house built by architects who have planned it with nice blueprints. Rough-hewn. They picked up the material which is available. Whatever, it's not like baked bricks. Some stones and some bamboos, and there is a house made out of that. Bamboo houses can be very attractive. If you go to Far East, Kumbhigram is a place where some Air Force houses are built with bamboos. They're very nice, but only for a short while. If you live there, you will soon see reptiles and all kinds of creatures because it's their home also. They also love it. So it's not easy. But people live there and begin to like it. It's the joy of adventure. You can't live a whole life. But Savitri has gone to such a place. A rough-hewn house. What it means? It means it was exposed to elements. It was exposed to all kinds of things. It's not a very protected place. And who lives there? Questioning no more the strangeness of her fate, their pride and loved one to the great blind king, a regal pillar of fallen mightiness, And the stately, careworn woman, once a queen, who now hoped nothing for herself from life. So they have arrived there, now the whole Madhya Desh kingdom and Ashwapati and his wife, and they gave. So it ended with they gave. And they gave to whom? But before they gave, he says, questioning no more the strangeness of her fate. Before they have handed over Savitri to Satyavan, that please take care of him. This is the custom. That the father, normally it is the mama nowadays. Mama must, the maternal uncle must hand over the hand of the bride to the bridegroom. That see, she is a loved and cherished one, please take care. And the husband will say yes, 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 and forget it after the second day. So they are also handing over, but now they are no more questioning the strange fate. Somewhere they have reconciled. What do we do? This girl has chosen. What the things he has chosen? Inwardly, they have accepted it, questioning no more the strangers of her fate, whom they have handed over their pride and loved one. Who is Savitri? Their pride and loved one. She is the one cherished, the cynosure of their eyes. They couldn't live without her. They couldn't imagine life without her. She was the pride jewel of their whole. Look, my child. She was, after all, no ordinary being. Whom they have given? To the great blind king. A regal pillar of fallen mightiness, Dumatsena. He was a king. But now that king with no kingdom. Once upon a time, they have handed over. He is king only for the sake of being a king. And look, again, the irony of fate. And the stately, careworn woman, once a queen. Stately, because she has tasted being a queen. She was a queen. So she is stately in all her conduct. She still carries something of that empress, or at least of a queen. But now she is worn with care. Where is a careworn queen ever to be found? Except in this epic. Look the details. And what is the state of their king and queen, Dumatsena and his wife? Who now hope nothing for herself from life. This queen, mother of Satyavan, everything she has lost. Her husband has become blind, she has lost the empire, she has nobody to look after her, but she has one hope. Look how Sri Aurobindo is showing us a picture very full of not gentle irony, but a deep, painful irony of life. All that she is hoping is, who now hoped nothing for herself from life, but all things only hoped for her one child. She is praying, "Oh Lord, look after my child Satyavan." No wonder Savitri has come all the way. This is of course, behind the scenes. All that she is doing is praying for that one child. She has only one child, not even a second child. And she can now hope nothing for herself. Her life is gone, lost. But she prays every day for that one child. What does she pray? Calling on that single head from partial fate, all joy of earth, all heaven's beatitude. Look at the pathos and the karuna, all these rasas. No one has tears in one eyes. If we look at this scene, it's not an ordinary scene. A king and queen who have lost everything, all that they have is one child, who is married, of course, a princess. And they don't know what they can provide. So every day she is praying that, may everything be wonderful, my child. Heaven's beatitude and all that is good and beautiful. They don't know what is going to happen. Adoring wisdom and beauty like a young god's, she saw him loved by heaven as by herself. So she is thinking, heavens also must be loving my child. They would never be cruel to him. That is how we believe. Because we love, so the world forces may also love. But she doesn't know what fate they have woven for him. She rejoiced in his brightness and believed in his fate and knew not of the evil drawing near. So she doesn't know. She believed that every day she is praying to whoever gods of those days, because gods also evolve as humanity evolves. And well, my child will be looked after. After all, what's wrong with him? He's a wonderful child. And my child, I love him so much. Surely everybody loves him. He can't meet with an adverse fate. And now comes those lines which I spoke of in the beginning, the Vidai. Lingering some days upon the forest verge, like men who lengthen out departure's pain. This departure's pain, Aurobindo reveals also in another poem, Ulupi, where Arjuna has to depart. He is married for a year and has a child. And he has to go. His destiny calls him. His strength calls him. And she has to depart from his most loved wife, Ulupi. And he doesn't want to go. The hero in Arjuna fails before the love of a woman. But Ulupi's love is not weak. She is strong. And she says, "Oh hero, I love you. But I would rather love to see you live the purpose of your life. Go where your destiny." It's a very touching poem, moving. It brings out that love of a woman with such perfection, where consciously she sends him away. So here Aurobindo is saying, the king, Savitri's parents are lingering. They must have told, please stay for a few days. We can't offer much, but we'll try. And they are staying, lengthening what? Departure's pain. They are going to leave their cherished one in this place. So this is the Vidai scene in Indian, movies and movies called marriage. Now they become redundant. Now, girl says, "Mom, I'm happy. Please don't disturb me. I'm fine." It's an evolution. That evolution has to take place. But those days, unwilling to separate sorrowful clinging hands, unwilling to see for the last time a face, heavy with the sorrow of a coming day and wondering at the carelessness of fate. They are filled with all these thoughts. And yet they have to part. So what happens when you have to part from somebody you love so much? You leave the hand, then you again hold the hand. Then you don't want to let go. Then you leave. Then you embrace. Then you say, "Oh, you have to go." Then again you separate. Then you turn back. Again you come back and one last embrace. Maybe one last kiss. But this is departure. It can't stop, Old days when people traveled with train. Now even with flights. A very nice ad where a boy is going abroad. And mom is crying. She says, "My child did this, sister is saying something," and the boy is, "Mom, please, for God's sake, I am not a kid." So as he goes, he exchanges the boarding pass and all the families, they're all weeping. Typical Indian family. Suddenly the boy, something he sees on WhatsApp message. And then he turns and he realizes suddenly that, no, I'm not going to see them. All this love, all this care, where am I going to find? So he rushes back and, embraces, and then again he departs. So it's that scene, that pathos, heavy with the sorrow of a coming day and wondering at the carelessness of fate. Last few lines. Who breaks with idle hands her supreme works. Carelessness of fate. Idle hands, playfully it breaks her supreme works. What is Savitri itself is a chosen one. She is not an ordinary woman. And what has fate decided? Who is Satyavan? A jewel amidst earth, a Veda knower. He is described. Narada himself says, rare is this jewel. You don't find such a person. Yet, there is only one problem with him. This day returning Satyavan must die. So, they are wondering, Savitri's parents, because Satyavan's parents don't know, what a fate. Such a wonderful boy. He has to live only 1 year. Who breaks with idle hands her supreme works. They parted from her with pain-fraught, burdened hearts. As forced by inescapable fate we part from one whom we shall never see again. This is the scene which has been brought, and how beautifully Aurobindo's masterly pen, while describing an event which is commonplace, he brings into the most ordinary images the most extraordinary truths. This is the greatness of the great. It is very easy to paint big things when big, great events are taking place. but to bring the extraordinary in ordinary things of life. After all, marriage, parting, leaving the girl behind, giving her hand to husband, they are very all normal things. Nothing extraordinary, but Sri Aurobindo brings. Travel from one place to another. What's the big deal? But in all these commonplace images, Sri Aurobindo packs it with the stuff of greatness and extraordinary inner movements of the soul. And that is where the beauty and greatness of Savitri lies. So we'll stop here and continue tomorrow from page 467.